Hey, everybody, welcome to the lounge tonight. I'm so excited because we have another segment of Grown Up Military. I have some military brats with me on the channel today, and more will be joining. But if this is your first time, make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe. If you enjoy this content and share this content with people that you know might like this information. So, this month is Military Children Appreciation Month or awareness. I think it's appreciation. So I decided to do this series to shine light on military children's experiences throughout the country. Fun fact though, Blair Underwood, the actress, he is a military child, and he just wrote a book saying it's called A Soldier's Wife, and it's about his mom and her journey of being a soldier's wife. So if you see this, Blair, please come through so I can interview you. If somebody shouts it out to him, he's a military child, and so is his siblings. And then Lisa Lopez, aka Left Eye, is a military child's is a military child too. Rest her soul. But she has siblings that are also military children. So I like to just throw in a couple of facts about celebrities, you know what I'm saying? And so we can like normalize military children all over the country. So whoever can go first, whoever wants to go first, y'all can just kind of say, that's what I was gonna say. Say how you feel about the military brat, but say like what is it? I always get it confused. What branch was your parents in? That's the question that I like to ask. Okay. Anastasia?
I missed a
Oh,
little part of that. Can you hear me?
oh yes. I wasn't telling you to go. I just want to make sure that you can hear us and you can hear.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're good. We're good. Yes, you don't have to go first, but we're just introducing ourselves and saying what branch our parents was in, and then saying how you feel about like the term military brat. But you don't have to go first. I just wanted to make sure we can hear you. So welcome. Thanks for joining. So AJ or Aisha, y'all can go first. Who wants to go?
Ladies first.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess I will go first. So my name is Aisha, and my the funny thing is that the branch is Army, but
Mm-hmm.
my dad was out of the Army by the time I was old enough to actually know he was Army, and then switched over to being a government civilian. So I was
Mm.
still a military brat, but exposed to both. So exposed to the Army, living on bases that were full of people in Army, Air Force. They were joint bases, and then
Oh.
also living as a child of a civilian, but a government civilian, but still surrounded by the military. So,
Oh, so you were on base while your
so
parents. Oh, you
we did
weren't.
not live. We did not live at the time. Like I said, by the time I got old enough to know what was going on, the transition to government civilian happened. So we did
Oh.
not live on base. We
Mhm.
lived off the base. By the time, like I said, I was able to know what was going on. Prior to that, I think at some point we did live on base, but my experience growing up was off base. I went to school on base, but lived in what was called the economy because I grew up overseas. So lived in an economy. So never, from my recollection, lived on base. Now, what happened prior to that, I don't know. But
But you lived overseas?
yes, until I was 17 years old.
Really? What country? We got to get the tea.
So started off in Germany, and that's where
Okay.
I lived most of my life. And then we left and
Oh,
moved to Belgium. And
really?
so by the time I got to eighth grade, we had moved to Belgium.
That
Yes.
is so
So
cool.
my experience was all overseas. I heard when I was younger, we lived in like Fort Jackson, South Carolina.
Mhm.
Um, but I don't remember that at all. Like I said, I don't remember that
Yeah.
because I was
Oh,
very young. Like I was still a toddler by the time we moved to Germany. And
that
so
is so
my
cool.
entire life was spent in Europe.
Oh my gosh, I'm kind of jealous. I said, baby, I need to get them cities. My parents went to Germany before I was born. I said, that's rude. We need to go back. But did you know that J. Cole, Martin, Tia, and Tamara Mowry were born in Germany?
Yes, I was going to say that fun fact. So yes, Tia and Tia Tamara They were actually born in Germany, so they are military brats as well. But then also Shaq.
Shaq,
Shaq.
Shaq, that's
Shaq is a military child as well. So when I was
yes.
growing up, I remember him blessing the basketball team in Fulda, Germany. He blessed all of them with basketball shoes.
Oh,
So
that's so
yeah,
cool. Dang. Were you there with T and Tamara?
I wasn't. We
Oh.
were there at the same time. I didn't know them then. But I did. I actually got a chance to meet them in Atlanta in the airport. But
Oh,
even though we were in Germany at the same time, it's like no, I never crossed paths with them.
dang. That's so crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Well, that's cool. Okay, okay. We'll go to the next person. That's so cool. Though. That's so cool. I love that. Okay. Anastasia, do you want to go or you want to pass it to AJ?
I can go.
Okay.
Okay, so my parents were both in the military, and we were Army.
Okay.
The term military brat, it doesn't really bother me. I feel like it's pros and cons to it. Of course, within the military community, we're not brats.
Yeah.
But
Right.
we can go into that later. But other than that, no, the term doesn't bother me. I've gotten a lot of things out of using that term because a lot of people have certain associations
Yes.
with it anyway. So for me, it's been a benefit to me.
Oh, that's cool. I love
Yeah.
that. What about you, AJ?
So growing up, like I always heard the term like military brat, and I always like looked at it as something negative until I think I was in like second or third grade.
Mm-hmm.
Until I realized it's actually more of like a term of like endearment and just
Yeah.
respect because you go through a lot of things as a military brat. Just like Miss Aisha, I grew up overseas majority of my life. So I spent 4 years in Italy. I spent 5 in Germany. So just like Miss Aisha, ich
Mhm.
can ich kann sprechen zu Deutsch. Yep. So
Period. Okay.
so but just having that different outlook on life and that general level of respect for different cultures and different people,
Mhm.
it's oftentimes been translated for me to be able to go into a room and just speak with anybody,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
knowing that you're not just seen as like, okay, you're just an African American male, you're just an African American woman. Like,
Mm-hmm.
having that military brat experience, it makes you more resilient than just what a lot of people just take you for.
Yeah.
And I really wouldn't trade that for the world. I mean, it's definitely got me into a whole lot of different spots. And people tell you all the time, thank you for your service. I'm just like,
Mhm.
at first I'm like, that's my father and mother
Right.
that did it. But I had to realize too that even spouses and even children suffer too. Because
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
now I'm a social worker, so
Oh.
oftentimes you hear about the moves that a lot of kids go through.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in training last week, and someone was like, "Do you know what it's like to move every 2 or 3 years?" And I'm like, "Actually, yes."
Yeah.
I mean, but like, but imagine having to move every 2 or 3 years, and you don't know, like, okay, your parents may
Right.
have picked like Fort Carson, Colorado, but yet you got
Right.
bomb holder Germany, or like,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Right.
it's like you don't really get what you want, and then you may have to learn a whole new culture or go to a school where
Mhm.
you don't have any friends. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I kind of get it, but I'm like the trauma behind it though, from foster care to military. I'm like, it's kind of like not in the same perspective.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
I always thought about it too with like kids. It's like I kind of think I want to work with kids that like kind of have that because it's like it's a different experience. But yeah, the fault like the difference is that like they have a different support system than what we have. But that is
Right.
cool. Where were you born, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, so I was actually born in Fort Polk, Louisiana, which was so crazy because it's like I moved, I think like 3 times before I was like 4 years old. So I was born in
Oh.
Fort Polk. I was there for like a couple months, and then I was in Fort Bliss, Texas,
Mm-hmm.
and then like I think by the time I was like 3, then I was in Italy from like I think 1998 through like early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
So like
Wow.
when 9/11 all that stuff happened, I remember I was in Naples, Italy when all that stuff was going on.
Wow.
Um, then went to Fort Hood, Texas. From Fort Hood, I went to Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Then Aberdeen, Maryland, and then back to Germany, and then Fort Knox, Kentucky.
Oh, period. Anastasia, where were you born, if you don't mind sharing?
South Carolina.
Okay, period. Fort Jackson.
Not on post. It was right before my mother had joined.
Oh,
Oh,
oh.
wow.
I'm trying to add your brother. Oh, look at that. I hope the, but I don't know the video. Oh, okay. Hello. Can you hear us? Well, while we figure that part out. Um, yeah, can you hear us? Okay, maybe not. Oh, where were you born, Aisha? I'm really
Well,
never. Wait, Aisha, Aisha. I hope I'm saying it right because now I'm
so
confused.
I was born in Pennsylvania, and I don't know anything about that place. I know absolutely nothing. And I someone else asked me about it, and I told them, I said, I feel like a foreigner in my land of birth. I was born here, but I
Oh,
don't know anything about nothing. I cannot tell you a thing about Pennsylvania. I cannot tell you how to get around. I can't tell you street nothing, because they were like, "What school did you go?" I, I'm not from Pennsylvania. I'm
oh,
not from there. The longest place I lived was Germany. So I would tell somebody I'm from Germany before I ever say I'm from Pennsylvania. I don't know anything about that place. It's just on my birth certificate. I came out there and we moved. That was it.
mm-hmm.
You know, um, and like AJ was saying, I grew up with the term military brat. I didn't think much of it. Like he said, for me, it became a term of endearment. But just like he said, there's not one room that I can go into where I'm feeling uncomfortable. I can meet somebody from Germany, from India, from any of these places and feel comfortable, find something to talk to. One of the places I was at was Dusseldorf, Germany, and I went to an international school. So everybody was from some other country. So that's how I grew up. I'm used to being in rooms where I may be the only person that looks like me, or maybe there's a small group of people who look like me. So I'm always comfortable. And as a military brat, one of the things we have learned to do is to adapt. To
Mm-hmm.
adapt, we've learned to pivot. We've learned to, accept change and
Mm-hmm.
just roll with it. And not too many children can say that because they didn't grow up in that environment.
Mm-hmm.
I am used to moving, and I now have children of my own. And honestly, I don't want them to move so much because I know how it is. I wanted them to be in a place where they could have these long lasting relationships with people in school because they've been with them for a long time. Now, that didn't happen until recently, unfortunately, but it was nothing like how I grew up,
Yeah.
moving and
Mm-hmm.
saying, okay, I'm only going to be around you for 2, 3 years. So, I don't know if you're going to be my bestie, but, we can kick it for now, that type of thing, but that's just one of the things we've learned to do. And I think that's honestly a superpower. The fact that we can pivot and just, we don't break easily. A lot of us are very strong and we were able to move and adapt to change. And that's something I'm grateful for. I wasn't grateful for that as a child because I didn't understand, but now as an adult, like that's a skill we have. That
Yeah.
is really a skill set that we all have.
I really only heard military brat when I was older. I don't really think I heard it when I was younger. Because I grew up on base and off base as well. And so I was around my family, so it wasn't like a normal thing to be around military people. But then when I got older, I was more around like the military people that was like brat. I personally didn't like it because I was like brat to me means like spoiled, rotten.
So,
So I was
yeah.
like, I don't think I really like a military brat. So I didn't really kind of think about it. I kind of thought about it more negative now, like when I was younger. But I feel like it's more like positive now.
Mhm.
Like okay, yeah, I was a military brat. I traveled and different things like that. But you kind of hit on it. The next topic I was really going to ask is because when you ask military brats, like, okay, where are you from? Where are you like? You usually say like the last place or whatever, or you might say where you at the longest. It's like it's so many things because where you're born is not necessarily where you lived at the longest, and so I feel like we all kind of have that story. And like I know when you say you're from Germany, people are probably like, oh my gosh, like girl, how you from Germany? Like it's
Right.
like it doesn't correlate with like honestly what you look like or who you are. And so I think that that's something too that's like brings your perspective of
Yeah.
the world and what you look for. My next question is, do y'all have any childhood friends?
I would say yes. And it's funny though, because they're all also military brats. So these are people that I went to school with in Germany, that I went to school with in Belgium, that I may have met in other places. Like I have friends that were in Italy because as a military brat, when you're in activities, playing sports and things like that, just like here, how you may be playing a school in Florida or play a school in Carolina, whatever. We were
Mm,
playing schools in Italy, playing Naples, playing Vicenza, playing, against people in England. I was in different activities. So I was in sports, I was in theater. So I would go to different bases in England several times a year, going to Spain. So my friends are all within that same journey. Whether they were a military brat or they were actually from that country, these are the people that I still keep in touch with to this day.
Oh, okay,
So,
that's really good.
and we've had, school reunions, but
Oh,
the funny thing is they're never over there. They've all been in the United States. Um,
oh,
so, but the last one we had, I think the last one we had was in Atlanta, but prior to that, we met up in Vegas. But these are people, like I said, I've known for now like over 30 years. I've known them for a long time. So
oh.
I can't sit there and say, okay, I've had these friends since second grade, like a lot of people say, but
Mhm.
these are people that have been my friends for a while, and they're all, some are associated with the, the U.S. military. Some of them, for example, in Belgium, where I was, that was called Shape Belgium, and Shape Belgium, that particular school, you had different branches. So you had the American section, you had the Belgian section, you had the, so all of them may not have been associated or affiliated with the United States military, but they were affiliated with the government in some way, whether it was NATO, because Brussels was right there also. So they were affiliated with the government in some way. But yeah, they're all still my friends.
That is so
And
cool.
the beauty of it now is we have social media, so it's easier for us to keep in contact. It wasn't like that, before social media. It was harder to to keep in contact, but now with social media, Facebook and other things, Instagram, is easy. It's a whole lot easier.
Hello, Dana. Okay, yes. I was like, I cannot see you. Glad. Can you hear us? Oh, I can't hear you. No, I can't hear you.
Mm-mm.
Turn your sound on, maybe. Okay, okay. AJ, do you have any childhood friends?
Actually, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Definitely have a couple, and the thing about it is too is just like Aisha, like when you do sports overseas, so like the difference between like here in America as well as being in Europe, like for Kentucky, for example, like you may have seen like North and John play. That was like the big rivalry, but like in Europe, your biggest rival could be someone in a whole different country. So like
Hmm. Yep.
when I was in Mannheim,
Yeah.
our biggest rival was actually Heidelberg. Like, but it was like just a small crosstown rivalry. But our main rival was actually either Bitburg or it was the International School of Brussels, which was where she was talking about.
And that's so funny
And
because we, been to Mannheim. My parents, was stationed in Mannheim, so he's absolutely right.
yeah,
So
so
we're in the
and the
same
funny thing is
places.
too is when it comes to celebrities, I'm sure y'all know the R&B singer Khalid. He's actually a military brat that I was actually friends with. He was actually playing football against me because he went to Heidelberg. So our first game was actually against each other. So when he basically came out with the song "Send Me Your Location" and stuff, and I'm like, he looks a little familiar. And
I
then
love
like,
songs.
I go to his profile, I'm like, oh, this is lead. Like, but
What?
um, it was just something like different like that. But in terms of friends, like I have a couple friends here in North Carolina that we knew since Italy, and just because growing up in the churches and stuff, as well as
Mhm.
athletic events that we attended, is like we've always kept in touch. Social media has definitely made it a lot easier to maintain those friendships because
Mhm.
growing up, if you didn't have Yahoo Instant Messenger, if you didn't have the email address, you didn't have
Yep.
nothing. And because having that military background, you change phone numbers so much.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
um, crazy thing is like the numbers in Europe are longer than the
Yeah.
American numbers. Like,
Yeah.
I think ours here are like 10. I think the German ones are like 13 or 14.
13 or
And it's
14.
like I used to remember my German phone number. It was like 0621. After that, everything else is blank. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, like the friends I have, as well as even the ones that went and joined the military or they're in the same fraternity as me now, like I'm just like, oh wow, like it's kind of funny seeing it all come full circle.
Yeah.
Even if you don't join the military, but you're in the government in some way, and we just still have that
Mhm.
connection.
Oh my gosh, that's so crazy. I just looked up Khalid. Well, I guess he's kind of younger than me, but he was in Fort Drum, and I used to live in Fort Drum, and he was in Fort Campbell, in Kentucky. That's so cool. So sad his dad passed away though. Um,
Yep.
and it says that he was in Heidelberg, Germany for 6 years. Okay, another. I need a celebrity
Yeah.
in front. I did not even know that about him, but that is so cool.
Yeah.
I think
He's telling the truth. I mean,
Yeah, I
You
really
know, when I was,
born in Port
I
Stewart.
think when I moved to Belgium, one of my friends from the first place I lived in Germany, she ended up going to Mannheim. And so we saw each other again because, you know, it was competition time and all the schools were there. Like Mannheim was hosting it, but Mannheim was there, Heidelberg was there, Zweibrücken, different places were there in that same place. Then we both came to the United States. She ended up at Fort Campbell. I
Mhm.
ended up somewhere else, but we're still connected. So, you
Yeah,
know,
I think with social media, that's why I was asking. I don't personally really have like any elementary school friends. I barely have any middle school like one, but I was like with social media not being present and relevant, like I feel like it's hard
hmm
to kind of connect and have those
yeah.
friendships still to maintain. Dana, can you can you speak real quick?
Hello, hello.
Oh my gosh, yes. Okay.
Hey, there we go.
Okay. I'm gonna let you introduce yourself, and then I'm gonna give it to Anastasia. So please introduce yourself and tell everyone how you feel about military brat, like the term, if you like it or not, and then what your parents were in, like what I forget what it's called all the time when I say it. What branch?
Branch.
Yes, the branch. I'll be forgetting the branch word.
Uh, well, hello. My name is Dana Chapman. Um, the sorry I'm late. I was moving vending machines. You know,
It's
young entrepreneur stuff.
okay.
Um, so yeah. So thank you guys for having me on this platform.
Mm-hmm.
We also had some technical difficulties. So while I was frantically like, oh my god, why is this not working? Um,
It's okay.
so the term military brat as a child, I mean, it didn't really like affect me per
Mm-hmm.
se. I mean, you know, whatever. Most people hung around also military brats, so you know, whatever.
Oh.
Um, my parents was my dad was a tanker and my mom was a 92 Alpha, which that's military supply.
Okay.
So I don't know. Do you want me to continue to talk about like the upbringing, or is that all you want me to say? Because I don't want to mess up your.
Oh no, you're fine. Use in what else? What others? Oh, do you have any childhood friends?
Yes, but the sad thing is because I was young, and then this was really before social media and cell phones took off.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like my parents wasn't going to give like a 6 year old a cell phone. Like, that's not happening.
Uh-huh.
So, and then plus, you know, computer access was extremely restricted. So, yes, I had some close friends that unfortunately, just because of traveling, you know, Germany, America, wherever, it we kind of fell off. So, I would love to reconnect with these people and see whatever they're doing. But
Uh-huh.
unfortunately, no, because like I said, it was before social media became like a big thing. And then again, I was younger. They was not going to give me no cell phone, nothing. So
Oh, and where were you born, if you don't mind sharing?
it's classified information.
I know, right? So you might say stay or something. Oh, you know how to say it as well. It's okay. I
Well, you know, since I know y'all, I let you know.
um,
I was born in Kentucky actually on
you were
Fort
where?
Knox, Kentucky.
Oh, really?
On Fort Knox.
Oh,
Oh,
that's so
yeah,
cute.
Ireland.
Mhm. Yeah.
Too
Yeah,
much, AJ. Okay, not too much for 6 things.
You
It ain't.
forgot. You forgot we lived on that base.
No, I
yeah.
know, but I wasn't trying to give all the information now. That's what I'm saying. But it's really not there no more, honestly. It's
Mm-mm.
changed. Oh, so you were born there. So did you move around a lot growing up still like you like was born there, then you moved and stuff?
Yeah, yeah, I was born there, and then we stayed in Kentucky for a little while, old enough for me to remember. But then I know the first place that we went was Germany.
Uh,
Well, South Carolina, then Germany.
okay.
But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed Germany. It was a great time for me. Good food. I could bike anywhere, everywhere.
hmm
Trains, buses. It was a fun time for me. Swimming pools.
Oh,
Yep.
You know, I grew up. My mom was a black woman, so you know, none of them nude pools and beaches, none of that for me. You know, as an adult, as a
I'm
kid,
so
I don't care. You know,
that's so funny. Okay, everybody's been to Germany, child. I need to figure out why I didn't get to go. That's so rude. But okay, that's great. Anastasia, do you have any childhood friends?
Ooh, it's gonna be similar to my brother. It's like a yes and no. So I had a lot of them, you know, going to school and changing and all of that. But then over time, the same thing. No social media, none of that connecting. You know, we weren't into writing letters. We weren't doing all that. Uh, so staying in touch with them,
Mm.
that was the hard part. But I would say, you know, a lot of them I ended up re-seeing and stuff, and a lot we didn't. too. So now it's like I know I'm in passing, but really keeping that beautiful relationship in the beginning, no.
Okay, I understand that. Your screen is kind of frozen. Just want to let you know, but I
Okay.
still heard you. The sound is great.
As long as you hear me, that's all that matters.
Yes, the sound is great. Just want to let you know. Okay, so you all did a lot of moving around. That you all kind of navigated that. And one thing I also think with the connection piece of like friendship and how you're navigating that, since you all sounded like y'all lived all across the country and stuff like that, how close are you all like with your family? Or like how was it navigating like not growing up around family, I should say, if since y'all are overseas. Anybody can answer.
Um, for me, it was hard. I'll just go for it was hard for me. So I have a very big family, and we're close. And so when you're growing up overseas, and most of the family is not in the same place that you are, you don't see them that often. So when you get that, that 30 days of leave,
Mm,
you try to see everybody, try to pack everything into that, those 30 days, and they're important. You also want to get, I used to love like, oh, we're going to the States, we're going to the US, I'm going to go shopping, get all, all these clothes, clothes that they're not going to have over there. They're not going to be at the PX, getting, getting them, at the mall, getting the latest music, all the things, while you're still trying to spend time with your family. And for us, Disney World was always a part of the trip.
mm.
But because our family's so large, like I said, my mom has 12 siblings
Oh my god.
who all have children. And then, seeing, the other side of the family as well. It's trying to see everybody in 30 days was hard. So we usually didn't get a chance to see everybody, but we tried to, kind of see as many people as we could. And they were always special moments. They were precious because I knew I was going to be leaving soon to go back, back to Germany or back to Belgium, wherever we were at the time. So I just tried to make the most of the time, but it was hard.
Okay.
Yeah, it was hard.
Yes, you're not frozen up. Anybody else?
I feel like I'm disagreeing with everything Aisha's saying because I mean it's like, I'm from South Carolina, so
Oh, okay.
having to take that like I think it's like a 12, 13 hour flight. You gotta land in Atlanta, get TSA over here yelling in your face and whatnot. Like,
That's easy.
jet lag ain't even hit yet, your legs still sleep. Like but it's like you have to cram in so much
Mm-hmm.
and you like have to do so much like see family. And once you get that short term of that rest and relaxation or that leave, it's like you know it definitely made me like more family oriented, but also like enforced my boundaries when it came to family. Because I think after like my fifth trip seeing family, I'm just sitting here like telling my parents one time, I'm like, okay, like how come we literally get off the plane and then like 10 hours later we're like driving to everyone's house?
Mm-hmm.
How come they just don't come see us?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
pull up on us, like we at grandma's, like
Right.
we ain't gotta come see y'all and give y'all money all the time or like have to
Mm-hmm.
Your
see
money.
how y'all are doing and and I have to realize too with certain family members they're only happy because it's like they know what you can provide for them.
Yeah.
So when I like kind of got older, I'm like, yeah, this ain't really it. Like if I done paid money for this flight and then it's not like especially with my dad, I'm like, this man done paid
Mm-hmm.
probably you know tell how much he paid for them tickets to get us back to the States and
Mm-hmm.
then get the rental car from Atlanta and then drive to South Carolina. I'm like, you probably didn't put it up like probably a couple grand just to get us here, and then we gotta like,
It's closer to South Carolina. I was really kind of confused. Oh, it's closer. It's kind of like by Georgia. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I'm like, we over here doing all this stuff. How come y'all can't just provide a meal, something like,
Hell, I'm on the
like
floor.
Right.
just make something easier because like watching family like go from that type of lifestyle to where my dad had 4 active deployments. And like during each deployment, I saw like there's parts of him that just constantly
Mm-hmm.
kept changing over the years. Like he was like less patient and
Mm.
like he just really didn't want to talk much and be around people much. I'm like, okay, you know, I'm peeping, but I'm also just like I can't say much because I gotta stay in a child's place. But um, it definitely made me like more aware with family. I still
Mm-hmm.
love my family, but it's also like, hey, like if y'all expect me to do that when I get older, especially with these inflation prices, no, we can skip.
I think to your point though, but I feel like people in general, like this can even come to like adulthood when like people move and stuff like that. You know, when people are like, "Oh, I'm coming back in town," they like visit me here, visit me there, but they ain't never try to take a flight to come and see you like wherever you move to. So I think that like that kind of explains or kind of just like shows like kind of what you're saying. And to a point, I think about that too. Like I don't know if we were always I wasn't even out the country, but we were still always like driving like to our family and friends or whatever. And I think because they think that you in the military, like you got money or something like that. I don't really know why they think that, child. Like parents got kids, people got bills. Like they think that you just rolling in dough. Like, no, baby, we are not rolling in dough over here. So I think that that could be like a misconception, maybe to like like your other family members or something like that. But we know that it ain't a lot of
Yeah.
or
And it's
whatever.
like the only one that actually came to visit was actually my grandma, and I'm like, if you don't got grandma on the plane,
They don't, child. They don't like traveling. They don't like planes. They don't like none
I'm
of that.
like, old people, man, they be like, that's all you got to eat. Like, because Germans, they'll give you that stale bread in a heartbeat. They'll give you that old bread and water and talking about something. Well, this is all we got. You know,
That's funny. I'm cracking up.
Yeah, we had a couple people come over, but
Oh,
yeah,
that's good. What
yeah.
about Anastasia or Dana? Whoever wants to go.
You want
Rock,
to go?
paper, scissors?
Not rock paper scissors. I'm so weak.
Uh, well, I'll take it since I said something first. Um, I don't know. My experience was kind of like that. Of course, everybody swept down. Your parents got money because of the military. I don't know where that rumor started from. Because if that was the case, I should have been a spoiled, rotten child. So I don't understand where that came from. Didn't see that. Um, Basically, everything that y'all were saying, like people just expect you to constantly pull up on them,
Mm-hmm.
which in the beginning is cool. But then, like after you do that, after you make that 8 hour, 9 hour plane trip, this flip to this, you have to do that a couple times. It's like, okay, so what about y'all then? Y'all
Mm-hmm.
plane work. They love to say phone work both ways.
Yeah.
Plane
Okay.
work both ways.
Mm-hmm.
Goes south and north.
Yeah.
Uh, but I will say one thing I was lucky with. For the people I was close to, like especially like family, we just picked up where we left off. Like we literally like when I see you, it's blah, 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 and we do whatever foolishness we do, whether it be shooting stop signs with BB guns or you know messing in my grandma garden we ain't supposed to be in. Whatever we got going on for the week or a couple of days of us being here.
Mm-hmm. You have anything to add, Anastasia?
Yeah, yeah, like my brother said, I mean, we would spend a lot of time going back and forth, especially when we were younger. And
Mm-hmm.
so when we were younger, it was exciting, it was fun, it was great to, see our family. Oh, we're going back to South Carolina, we're gonna see everybody, and so as a kid, you don't, realize all the strain that it actually takes in the logistics. So until we got older, it's like, hey, bro, like you can come see me.
Mm-hmm.
I drive, you drive, I fly,
Mm-hmm.
you fly, we can figure that out. But then, it doesn't work out that way. So you don't really get to spend that, abundance of time with everybody that you would like to. And
Mm-hmm.
so it just stays at text and social media, heart your stuff and keep it pushing. So you don't really get all of that. But just like AJ was saying, like my grandma, now, yes, our grandmas, yes, they lived with us for, you know, quite a bit of time. They always pulled up
Mm-hmm.
wherever we at. So for them with that, yes, we're very tight knit with our grandparents and stuff, but everybody else, no.
Yeah, I have an opposite experience because I didn't grow up overseas. So I actually grew up, well, in the States. But like where my dad was stationed, my mom was from. So I kind of grew up around my mom's family, I would say more. But I did go to like my dad's side of the family. But baby, them was long drives, child. Where is the people coming to us? Please, I'm tired of being on the road. But I did live with my grandma for a little bit, so I got to see her a lot more. We lived where she was at. My grandpa came to visit us. But I would say I think that my parents just celebrated, like my dad just retired and my mom retired like 30 years or whatever. And so when I look at that, I see how they got friends. Like I feel like friends was turned into family in the military. And so it was so many couples, so many like couples from like different places where we were stationed, like Fort Drum. I can't even think. Well, they done moved, but like that's kind of where they were at. But like people coming from Alabama, people coming from Georgia. Like I was like, I feel like a lot of times that the family is the people who you meet like in their units or something like that. So that's kind of where it turned family. That's who you hang out with, you talk to a lot. And I was like, I think that that's kind of something that is taken that I would like take away from the experience is like you kind of make who your family is because you always can't see your real family and go visit them, and it's just like a lot like wherever you live at. So I think that that was something that I noticed because everybody in there was from wherever they was from at a certain time when they were like stationed with my parents. So I just think it's kind of like a downfall also of like family. They're expecting you, they're like, oh, you fly, you can fly. Like they expect you to come fly to see them, to do all that stuff. It's like, well, I'm the one that's over here. Like you can come and see me. So I do remember my aunts coming to visit me and stuff like that. But I guess I was like on the opposite end because I kind of grew up with my mom's family. So I always seen them. But when we moved, we were definitely making trips back to like where my family is from, and like nobody was coming out, but they have came out like recently since we got older. People have started coming out, but everybody moved away. So I think that that is different. But I was like, why can't y'all come and visit us? Like, well, we got to go back there for Christmas, Thanksgiving, child, this holiday, that holiday, baby. We got to switch up some holidays. So I definitely think that is interesting. I love that that's different perspective. I'm really kind of jealous because y'all got to grow up outside the country, but you know, it's okay. It's okay. I love the experiences. So how many, anybody can answer this, everybody doesn't have to, but how many states did you live in? If you can count. I remember.
Well, for us, it was just 3
Oh,
actual states.
okay, countries.
It's a little different.
I guess if that's better, countries. I don't know.
Like you said, that's classified. It's
Yeah.
classified.
Okay, that is. Oh my bad. I didn't know for that one. Okay, okay. Period. I feel that. I
But
Like as a child,
Yeah.
or
Oh, yeah, yeah,
just
yeah. I'm saying like I guess I was saying like before you're 18 because that's kind of
okay.
when you're kid like when you were military. I just because I have another like I have a question after that. So if you don't want to answer, that's fine. Just think about how many states that you were. Think about how many states that you moved. And my question is really, what did it feel like being like the new kid, or like did you feel like you had to reinvent yourself all the time every time you moved or something like that? Like how was that feeling every time you had to move to a new state? That was really what I was trying to get to.
For me, it was lit. Uh, New kid on the block. Oh, easy, easy.
Okay, it was easy
Oh,
for you.
yeah, I'm gonna have a little motion for like 2 weeks. Everybody trying to figure out where I'm from. I'm
Um,
getting, especially when I was a young kid. Now I'm getting picked up for all the sport events. I
uh,
got my new little exotic outfits on.
okay.
I'm not saying I was dressed well. I'm just saying, like, you can't buy this. You know what I'm saying? You have to get PX. See, I got this in Rome. See, they don't make this. Don't worry about where I got this from. Don't worry about it.
Okay, you was feeling yourself. Okay.
Had a little motion for the, like I said, like them 2 weeks. Then after that, you just like everybody else. You ain't nothing
Not
special.
the 2 weeks.
Yeah, done seen that, been there, seen that. Yeah, that's just like whatever. Yeah. Yeah, but like I said,
Okay.
2 weeks.
Them 2 weeks are strong.
Telling you.
Okay. Okay. So you love the reinventing. You love to pop out with it. Okay.
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, I, because then again, for me, and I know my sister can kind of attest to this. There is no like shyness
Mm,
where we were coming up. Like that's not a thing. So you might as well go on out there, go ahead and get it over with.
mm-hmm.
Anybody finna coddle you about military household. So they run it like the military. Go to school. What you crying for? Go.
Uh-huh.
So, I'm here and it was, oh gosh, where you this had come to the motion. Oh gosh, where you from? Oh, we just got back from Germany. Well, you never been. Oh, that's cool.
I'm so weak.
Cool. Yeah, I've been to Venice. I've been on a gondola ride. Nothing crazy.
You told me when you was from Germany. I'm on the floor.
Oh yeah, you already know it. Like I said, I'm trying to get my little fifth grade motion, man. I I'm trying to get picked first in recess. Come on now.
That is hilarious. Okay, okay. What about the rest? How did y'all feel like y'all had to reinvent yourself? Did y'all like it? Did y'all hate it? What was y'all's?
Not when I was younger. I mean, you know, for example, when we left Germany and moved to Belgium,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really have to invent myself. We moved during the summer. It was kind of
Uh,
like, it well, actually, it wasn't summer yet. It was like, it was school's out. No, school was about to start. That's what it was. School was about to start. So it was the summer, like leading into going back to school. And so I remember the first time going on base and some of the kids were, hanging out the youth center or whatever. And you know how it is with guys. They see a new female, like, who's that? Who's that? And they look in, nobody wants to talk first. They go see what, that kind of thing. Then they talking, oh, where are you from? I never seen you around school before, that type of thing. So, I really didn't have to reinvent myself, but I'm looking like, oh, like, God, here we go, um, and I wasn't happy to leave Germany, first of all. So I was kind of mad that we were in Belgium, because I'm like, here we go again. I have to, make new friends all over again. All of my friends are back in Germany. Now I got to learn this place, this whole new place again, learn this base again, learn this school, all this kind of stuff. So I didn't really, and that's how it was during childhood. I really had to reinvent myself when I moved back to the U.S. It was college where I had to reinvent myself, because when you're a military brat, you're really not from anywhere. And so when people ask you, especially college, you're freshmen, where you from? Where you from? You start saying Germany, Belgium, Korea. They're looking like, what? Why were you there? What do your parents do? And trying to explain what your parents do, that's hard too. So then, like you said, start telling people, it's classified. What is CIA? Sure. Yeah. That type of thing,
Oh, y'all was lying to people.
And so I got tired. And so I started telling people I was from, Atlanta. I was from, sometimes I say Atlanta, sometimes I say Decatur. And the only reason I said that is because I listened to Outkast. And I was like, if they ask me, I'm going to say the streets that I heard in the song. Not knowing where these streets were, and some of them now I know. I live in Atlanta now. I'm like, ooh.
No, ma'am.
That's the hood. I didn't know that at the time. Like, oh, I'm from Delo. I'm from Decatur, where it's greater, right? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, and in my mind, I'm like, please don't ask me what school I went to. Please don't ask me because I didn't know. I just heard it in Outkast songs. I said, I'm going to repeat everything Andre says, everything Big Boy said. And that got to be exhausting. How long can you carry that lie? Thankfully, and mind you now, because of how I grew up, I wanted to go to an HBCU.
Oh.
I wanted to do, I wanted to be in a totally different environment. So I'm telling people at an HBCU that I'm from, and I met one person the whole time. I was like, one person, oh, what part of Atlanta? I was like, oh Lord, like, and I was like, Decatur. Okay. And thankfully, they didn't ask me to school. They didn't ask me streets, anything. I mean, I was ready to go. Mind you, now none of those streets are in Decatur. None of them, But I didn't. I was like, I'm about to throw them out if they ask. Just to cover myself. But that's really the only time I felt like I had to reinvent myself, because you get tired of telling people different countries or telling people what your parents do, because they don't understand. But after that, and then they're like, oh, you talk funny, because at the time my accent was a mixture of all these places I've been to. And they're like, you talk weird. I don't know where these places are, because I begged my parents to graduate in the States. Oh, which is crazy. So I actually came at 17. I went 12th grade was, and trying to tell people where you're from. And at that point, we were in Belgium. This was right before my parents moved to Korea. So I came from Belgium to Virginia, to Hampton, Virginia. Korea? Yeah, they were Korea. Oh, okay. And so, but I didn't go with it. I went to Hampton. I begged. I tried to come to Atlanta because my mom had a sister there. She was like, no. So she only let me go to Hampton because one of her sisters there had a child my age. So I went to Hampton. So I went to that school. And then again, you're the new person. They're looking at you like, where are you from? You talk weird. You don't have a driver's license? I didn't need a driver's license, where I came from, all this stuff. I'm going to 7-Eleven. trying to buy a drink, and everybody's like, "What? You're not 21?" I said, "You got to be 21." You know, they're like, and again, where are you from? I was like an alien, really. And
Oh.
so, I go to school talking to people in Hampton, trying to tell them where I'm from, and I said Belgium. They're like, "What?" And one girl, "Oh, I know where that is. That's in North Carolina." I said, "Yeah, that's exactly where it is." And I said, "I'm like, where am I?" These people haven't they hadn't been to DC, they hadn't been to North Carolina, and these places were right there. I couldn't relate because
Mm-hmm.
I'm used to going all these different places, all these different countries, so I felt weird.
Yeah,
But after a while, it
mhm.
smoothed over. I
That's
stopped pretending, but
well,
you
I'm
know,
glad, baby, because they ask you more questions.
yeah, yeah.
That's funny. I think that's when I first learned to like in college. Because going to I don't really feel like when I moved to Kentucky, I don't really feel like anybody on base like asked me where I was from. Like I don't know if that's just something that we don't ask each other, but nobody
Mm-mm,
asked me that like when I started school. They just like you just meet friends, you talk to people. But
mm,
when I went to college, they were asking me like, "Oh, where you from? Where you from? Where you from?"
mm-hmm.
And then I was like, "Ooh, yikes!" And then that's when I noticed. And then I would like say like I moved around a lot or something like that. That's when I really noticed that like people don't leave their towns. Like I met
No.
some people have not left Kentucky, their city, the country, and I'm like, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Like it was so foreign to me that people didn't leave their city or their state or nothing like that. So it was kind of like a culture shock. How you're saying like you had like a culture shock when you
Right.
yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so crazy. And then I had to
Right.
like, okay, yeah, like I grew up military. Okay, yeah, I grew up military. Oh, let's see. Oh, we have one more person to the stage. Hello, sir.
Hello, hello.
Welcome, welcome. Oh my gosh, I'm really surprised it's letting me do all this. So this is great.
Hey,
Uh, I'll let you introduce yourself, but I'll give you some time. I already forgot what we were talking about. Oh, we're talking about reinventing ourselves every
Yeah.
time we moved. But I'll catch you up of like just say like what branch your parents were in, and maybe like did you have to reinvent yourself every time you moved? And what do you think about being a military brat? What do you think about that term? Okay, we'll come back. I'll
yeah,
let you
yeah,
a little bit. Okay.
yeah.
But yeah, so that's what I think about reinventing. Like, I don't necessarily think I had to reinvent myself when I would go to school because, like you said, I moved when I was new too. So everybody was new. So you just kind of like come in and chat. But when you're like, oh, okay, like if you have to move, you have to keep moving again. You're like, well,
Mm-hmm.
do I change? Do I not change? So I just wanted to kind of see if anybody else had that experience. If they had to do that, you all can share. I know we kind of ventured off with the college thing, but anybody else had to reinvent themselves?
I would say when I first moved back to Texas after being in Italy for 4.5 years, it was of course in Texas like they have like their own like southern style of talk.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was there the first week, like I swear to you, they put me in ESL for like a month, like
Oh,
because yo,
oh my
like,
god! Did you speak Italian?
yeah,
Oh,
because like when I first left Italy, like because when you're growing up in another country, they put you in a class called host nation. So you still got your language,
mm-hmm.
you know, your reading, math, science, all that stuff. You also have called host nation, where just like gym and PE, you're learning that country's language, that culture, and everything. And I
Oh,
had a strict Italian teacher, so like as soon as your pinky toe even touched that door, no English,
no, oh,
no
they were
English.
strict. Okay,
So
period. No,
so she was strict, and I'm sitting there like like
wow.
second grade, and I'm like, I'm getting it so fast because my neighbor, he was also Hispanic, and I
Oh,
realized that the Hispanic language as well as the
Mm-hmm.
Italian language, they're both considered Latin based
mm-hmm.
languages, so
Yeah.
they're very easy to get, and they kind of go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
So I was picking up Italian so quick to where I was able to like conversate with people in
Oh,
Italian. And then
that's
we
so
went to an Italian school. We had the other Italian kids, and I'm like, I'm cooked, like, because they talking that fast stuff. So it's like, yeah, I mean, I thought I had it, but I just had enough to carry a
now.
conversation. So, after that, went to Texas, and because I had to think so much about like, okay, with Spanish, the verb is conjugated with the subject, and then like with English, it's just like you can
Just
say whatever and it'd be fine.
yeah.
like, So, depending on what part you from, and it's like I'm having other like black kids look at me like, "You're not from here," and I'm like, "Clearly not." Like,
No.
we're on a military base. Like, no one's really from Killeen, Texas, bro. Like,
Mhm.
like it was just always different. So they put me in ESL so quick, and I was like, "Yeah,
So weak.
it was like you gotta bring up the speed. Like, you're not really catching on." I'm like,
I
but
am so weak, but to know that you learned, do you still know Italian? Or are
so
you?
I still know a little bit, like just to like ask for directions and like just ask like what's your name and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I still remember mainly German, but
Oh, you remember German? Gosh, gosh. I don't know. Let me not get canceled. I don't know. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. But I'm learning French right now, and I heard that it's like Latin, like the root is like Latin, so it's like Italian and in Spanish. I'm like, child, but how the conjugating be stressing me out, child. Conjugate EI, feminine. I'd be like, child, y'all stress me out.
yep.
But I can't believe they threw you in ESL. Like, that's not funny, but it is kind of funny. Though. Like, that's about going here because you don't know no English. Well, okay. Did you like Fort Killeen? Like, did you like Texas?
Man, Killeen was too big, so it was like coming from a base where I could walk around every day with my brother and be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was walking home by myself when I was in second grade in Italy,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that was another big thing I had to learn. Even coming back from Germany was coming from a community in Germany where you could walk around the base and at least somebody knows you. And like it didn't make it no better because my mom was the orthodontist assistant at that clinic in Germany. So having a dad who's a chief warrant officer who owns 6 out of the 8 motor pools there,
Mm-hmm.
and then having a mom that basically puts people's braces on, I'm like, I can't even spit on the ground without her finding out. Like it was just bad. So having to come from that to like coming to Kentucky where it's a pretty decent sized base, I couldn't walk nowhere. So I had to get used to like that type of size difference as well, and also just not being able to take the public transportation because I think when I first moved to Kentucky, I asked one of the guys on the football team. I said, "Do y'all have a Strassenheimer here?" And he was like, what is that?" I'm like, "Y'all don't have a public transportation system?" And they were just like, "Oh nah, bro, you gotta get your license." Like,
gotta get your license. I'm
It's
weak.
the truth. He's telling the truth.
like,
And even the school buses, like everybody who lived in Germany. I came here. I was like, y'all ride a cheese bus? Like, what is this bus?
we
We didn't
had double
ride that.
deckers for school buses.
That's
We did
crazy.
not ride a bus like that. I was in shock. I
Regular
was like,
bus.
this is what y'all ride. And then on the flip side, I moved, like I said, I moved to the US at 17. So it's over the summer. I meeting people out at the mall, the beach, whatever. And, this guy's trying to floss. And I got a Benz. I got a Mercedes. I was like, okay. He's like, did you hear what I said? I got a Benz. I said, where I come from, that's a taxi. And I was
Oh,
like, everybody has a Benz. Everybody has a Beamer. He's like, oh, like, where are you
okay.
from? I was like,
You
congratulations.
I'm weak.
Yeah, I
But
ain't
it's
gonna
the
lie.
truth. It's
Yeah,
Germany.
Germany is that is accurate because like Mercedes and BMWs, you can actually go to the BMW place in Germany and get a
Right.
car custom made there.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Period. So United States ain't got no money. That's what y'all saying. Okay, damn.
Yeah, I mean,
Look,
but that was
also,
the flex. That was the flex for him. But I was like,
And even you were talking about like yeah, that's a big time. Like you not getting your driver's license, like not knowing how to drive because you were like in another country. Like that's like a big thing. Like when you get your license over here and stuff like that. So even like those memories is kind of like not there because you didn't get it.
but public transportation there is so much better. So I didn't feel like I was missing out on anything until I got here. And I
Yeah.
couldn't drive. I couldn't drive at all. And I had
Mhm.
to ask everybody to take me somewhere. Little things like that was rough.
Anastasia, do you feel like you had to reinvent yourself?
Mm-mm.
Okay, period.
Yeah,
You were dating, y'all just was y'all had it,
yeah.
okay?
I was like, look, I'm tired of doing these new schools. You just go get what it is. I'm not trying to keep up with all these stories and lies and but check out my new shoes though. My brother was saying, it was like, man, y'all ain't got these on base. You ain't got these. So these is mine, That was kind of like my little segue into talking to people and being cool. So far as reinventing, no, but Mom, I need you to get these shoes off base. I don't want no PX shoes. I need some new, Puma, Fat Forms,
You
Forces,
ain't want no
whatever.
A6? You ain't
Ace,
want no
no air
A6?
chickens.
You know what is so funny is
Macy's.
because you were speaking of shoes, I went to Korea in middle school, like the middle school between 7th and 8th grade. But it was when Soulja Boy had that song, like I got me some Bay and they like that song. And I got them in Korea and I came back because I thought I was the nobody had them at my school. I was like, okay, yes, like I got them on. It was so funny. And they probably was definitely knockoffs, but I ain't care, baby. I was like, I got me some shoes. And I was coming back because everybody's like, you're going to Korea. And kind of like, well, I don't know. I'd be like, yeah, I would be like, yeah, my dad's Korean. You can't tell. I was lying, but it was funny. I was like, my dad's in the military, like the teachers or whatever. I'm like, but to know that people don't even know what Korea is, like people don't know what these countries are, and they don't have that outside thing. Is like, oh, that's like really eye opening to me. Like I went out the country in seventh grade, like at 12 years old. Like that's so young. Like people don't even know that. Some people I know are like 40 and 50 and they have never been out the country. So I was like, that's crazy to me from the perspective of that. So yeah, I thought I was like the it girl with the shoes. So that's when you said that.
What makes it so funny is how we all like kind of like got goods like from where we were living at the time to bring it back to the States, but then we like semi-smuggled goods from America back to the country. Like I was like, dog, I had like 6 things of Krispy Kreme donuts in my bag.
I'm weak. The Krispy Kreme.
My mom made me fly, to Germany with some Krispy Kreme.
I'm
on the air. Yes.
That's funny.
Yes, but then coming backwards, I'm sitting there smuggling the Kinder Eye, but Kinder eggs, smuggling them on the. I'm like, why am I smuggling? Why am I having to smuggle this back? Why am I having to smuggle salami, pepper salami back? Like why? Like why?
That is so funny.
All
that little 45 seconds through TSA was enough for me.
TSA, no, thank you.
Right.
So, Darren, it's your turn. You could share a little bit about yourself. And I do know that it's getting late. So if you do have to hop out, I do understand, but I want to give everybody their time because everybody had different things to come in. Okay. So, Darren, you can kind of share your background.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like everybody, Dana, I don't know about you, but it seems like everybody's like traveled out of the country while being like a military brat. And I did. Oh, no.
I mean, thank you for being on with this one.
Okay, back. Because I was about to say I never had that opportunity. We moved a lot like within the state.
Yes.
Within the States. And my dad, he was Army, and he was like Signal Brigade. So anytime that they needed him to move, do like TDY, or even if it was permanent, he would go overseas. But I mean, we wouldn't go. We would just hold it down with my mom until he got back. But yeah, I mean, in terms of like reinventing myself, and at least keep me honest. If I'm missing an answer to your prompt, please keep me honest and let me know.
Okay,
I can answer.
I will.
But in terms of like reinventing myself, I don't think I ever needed to. I think that it was always interesting enough just being the new kid from a different area. Like when I moved to Kentucky, I had just moved from California. Before then, I was in Washington. So like every time I moved someplace, they would always be like, "Who are you? Where are you from? Why do you not look like any of us?" And then as I like assimilated, I was able to like blend in from there. So no, I can't say that I ever needed to. But maybe when I was younger, I probably did a little bit of extra. You know what I'm saying? Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. If you don't mind, if you do understand, like how many states did you have? Like how many times did you have to like move?
Oh man,
it's a lot.
I want to say like six or like 6 states. I want to say.
Oh yeah, okay, me too. That's so funny. And the question that I asked everybody is like, how do you feel about the term military brat?
I mean, I like it. To be honest, I've never taken it like as like a slight or anything. Yeah, no, I've always taken it like a little badge of honor.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, maybe I should. A lot of y'all think I should embrace it. I thought it was a negative thing.
I
I'm
can,
not no brat. Like I didn't like the brat. Like I'm not a brat, so I didn't really like that word. But I can see it now. And do you have any childhood friends?
childhood friends, yes, I do. Predominantly from Kentucky, and it's not a ton though. Like I feel like a lot of my life friends came from undergrad. Whenever I transitioned out of grade school, but
Mhm.
from the ones because I was in Kentucky the longest, so the ones that I have in Kentucky is probably about like four that I
Oh,
call, like childhood friends.
okay.
Um, but yeah, none from like when I was really young. I moved
Yeah,
around
that's
so much.
like elementary.
My
Hmm.
mom was always like, "Oh, well, just call him." I'm like, "Man, I'm 9. I'm not gonna call a friend. I'm not doing
Yeah,
that."
I was thinking about that. Like, I was like, I feel like kids, like military children now, like maybe they should have journals or something like that. Like that, I think that would have been a really cool thing to have when we were younger because
Mhm,
there wasn't phones, there wasn't anything. So I'm like, how are people keeping these connections? Like, there wasn't really social media. So that's like another reason why I wanted to kind of have this conversation because I want to know, like, how do people approach community? Like, how do you approach friendships now? How do you navigate that with like moving and going to different states? And like, if you're not in the same state, do you still keep up with your friends or like do you approach friendship different? Are you just like, oh, they might be my friends for like a couple months, okay, I might, find new friends? Where I go, like, kind of like how military children like build their community as adults. It's kind of really what I'm trying to kind of like figure out, and kind of why like I even did this whole,
mhm.
to just kind of see how people navigate that. So anybody wants to answer, maybe y'all can.
I
Oh.
mean, I think for me, that was probably one of the biggest stressors growing up is like finding community because I did get very exhausted as a child, moving from state to state and having to start all over again. And I think around the time that I got into high school, and it was just always every other year. My dad was like, "Hey, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if we're gonna be here, long term."
Mm,
Um, and I mean, even though we ended up staying, in Kentucky the entire time, all 4 years, like that was super exhausting on me. So by the time I started moving around as an adult, um, it turned into like a real conscious effort for me to be like, okay, let me go out and find a community, and let me like pour into it, like cultivate it, and it being like an active thing that I have to remind myself of because I think it's just a healthy thing for like adults to have communities, but with it being such like an exhaustion for me for majority of my life, if I don't put any like thought behind it, I I will just I'll just introvert my way through months on months on months, and it really won't bug me to a degree. So that's how I would say.
okay, is anybody else, are y'all introverts or y'all extroverts?
I would say I'm more introverted,
Uh,
um, just because of like just having that upbringing. But
hmm.
I would even say like I'll have that community, but it's also like on the opposite end of it. It's like if I'm not really knowing you very well, then you're gonna be on the outside of it, and it's not like a traumatic response, but it's like okay, like I've basically gotten comfortable with people, and
Mm-hmm.
then which is so funny because like these same people that I was like very very comfortable with, I would move, and guess what? They're at the same base that I'm at next. But
Mm.
then when we try to resume the friendship, it's like we both have changed, and it's like okay, like yeah, we're still cool, but like the friendship is just not the same as it used to be. When we were either back in Germany or even back in Kentucky. So it's like oftentimes it's like I have to learn to accept things for what it is. Not like a whole like stoic as a nothing that doesn't last forever kind of thing, but it's like I cherish the memories that I do have with people. I always look back at it with a sense of gratitude and,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully look at it as, I hope that people don't see that as like we're beefing because we're not. But it's just like, we all have different paths in life. If you're in that inner circle, that community that I've built, then I
Mm-hmm.
hope I'm just in yours as well.
Mm.
But if I'm not, then hey, like, I understand it because with a lot of military brats, it's like we're very dangerous. Like if we don't see something for a long time, we don't really tend to like forget it, but it's like we tend to like just say like, okay, you know what, out of sight, out of mind. We're used to like kind of like putting our feelings like away for certain things and realizing that there's a bigger mission involved, there's a bigger task at hand. And it may have transcended or like into our relationships now. It may
Mm-hmm.
have transcended to the way we view friendships or marriages or anything in general.
Mhm.
But oftentimes I have to look back at myself and realize that people can in fact change. People can in fact grow. That friend I had in sixth grade, yeah, they're not going to be that same person forever. But if we're still on that same path of life, then yeah, like I'll pick up and have a conversation with you. You still invited to my wedding and vice versa. But
Absolutely.
oftentimes it's like no one ever stays the same. But
Oh,
you know,
you're
I just
very deep.
so I just look at that just like hey, like I'm grateful for the times that we've had. Funny thing is, moving to Kentucky, I literally was in my math class, and there was like four kids in that class that I was in middle school with when I was in Germany.
Mm.
And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, wait a minute, like we were doing like Spider-Man pose, we're just pointing at each other. I'm like, wait a minute, like y'all look familiar, and it's like, yeah, you look familiar too. So I'm like, but as time went on, I'm just like, yo, y'all are different, but you but at the end of the day, I should just accept it for what it is.
I understand that. I think people have different approaches. Yours sounded very poetic and deep thought. And I feel like on my end, I think I'm opposite. I feel like I'm trying to be really intentional because true out of sight, out of mind. But I'm like, I feel like I'm better at trying to be intentional and trying to keep up the friendships so I don't have to kind of make new friends. But then I feel like other people are kind of like out of sight, out of mind. Like if we don't hang out, then we don't talk. But I'm like, dang, because I still move in my actual like grown up life too. So I moved as well. So I'm like, I'm trying to keep those friendships that I have so I don't have to keep on building community. But then I feel like it's kind of hard and it's just like, well, dang, now I gotta find new friends if I'm not intentional with them. Then it's like kind of what does that look like? So I like your perspective. You're like, okay, great memories, keep it moving. I'm kind of there right now because I'm just kind of overbuilding friendships, but I definitely like your perspective. Shout out to another military brat in the chat. Great conversation. Thank you, girl. Does anybody else want to say how they approach friendships, or is it kind of the same?
I'll go, I guess.
Thank you.
With me, I'm introverted. I'm cool being by myself. It don't bother me none. I like hanging out with me. I think I'm pretty cool. Um,
He's too cool for school.
I think so. I could be wrong. But when it comes to me with friendships, for me it's quality over quantity.
Mm,
Like I like friendships where people I consider my friend. If I
mhm.
was homeless right now, I can call them and stay,
Oh,
like right now, and vice versa. So for me to call somebody a friend that actually comes with something, like
mhm.
that comes with me caring about your well-being, that comes with it's almost like family, you know. Because one, going back to the military brat, we move around the world and everything like that. So one of my like closest friends, we when we moved to Germany, I was gone for 3 years. I was young, whatever. We came back and it was like nothing changed. So like, I mean, I'm the type, if we haven't spoke in 6, 15, 20 years, if there was no beef, nothing happened, well, in my mind, we still cool, we still friends. I don't see why we would not be, unless your morals or viewpoint has just changed drastically, kind of to AJ's point. But if that hasn't happened, I don't understand why we can't be friends, because clearly we bonded over something. Even if it was something, let's just say it was anime. Man, we bonded over that. We can't talk anime no more. We too cool for school. Like we can't, what I'm saying? We can't talk about the latest episode. Oh, you cool? Oh, my bad. But but yeah, so that's kind of like my perspective of it, because like I'm truly one of those like work. Like when I'm at work, I don't have friends. I have colleagues. I have peers.
Okay.
I'm not going to happy hour with y'all. I'm not going. I don't want to. I gotta go feed my dog. I gotta go to the gym. I got school. I don't want to do that. But now we talk promotion. Oh, I will rub elbow. Oh, hey, blah, blah. I'll do all that. But
Mhm.
if it's on my time, absolutely not. Now, if my friends ask me something, of course, yeah, man, I got plenty of time all of a sudden, plenty of time.
Mm.
But also, all my friends, because I was in the military and then just moved around, my friends are all over America, different countries. So that's kind of why I'm like that. So we'll call each other up. We'll be on the phone for like maybe an hour, 2 hours, like talk about nothing and everything. So even though I mean I'm basically from Kentucky, I don't really hang around nobody from Kentucky. Not nothing against that, but it's I don't want to do things y'all want to do. I don't want to talk about stuff y'all talk about.
Oh,
So,
okay. So you feel you have more long distance friendships.
oh, for sure. I have more long distance friendships than I do here, and
Hmm.
I know why I don't have no friends here. I don't go anywhere. I have to make friends. I got to be somewhere while making friends. And
Uh-huh.
usually, if I'm out outside the house, it's for a purpose. I'm going
Okay.
to work or going to school. So I'm not making friends at work. I'm not making friends at school. I'm here to do these things. When I'm, hey, yeah, hey, man, how you doing? As soon as I go to class, I'm gone. Bye, y'all.
But do you feel like you want friends in the city that you're in? Like, do you feel like you miss that, or you don't? You feel like you don't really care at this point in life?
If that'd be nice, right? But it
Mhm.
depends on what these friends are trying to do. If
Oh,
you're trying to go to the club and do that, no, I'm not.
oh,
I'm not.
dang! Y'all hating on the club, AJ and
Hey,
Dana.
get how you live. You know, get how you live.
Hmm.
Look, man,
Clubs
these
expensive.
people are crazy out here, man. Why would I
Yeah.
want to go to a club and possibly get shot? I'm just sitting there some bystander. I just came for the wings. You feel me? Like, so,
For the vibes, man. I'm trying to listen to
Right.
music, you know.
Ooh,
But yeah,
Okay.
no, I'll
right.
wrap up what I'm saying quickly. But yeah, I mean, I would love to have some friends here, but I'm sure some of y'all can attest to or at least have experience. I'm I don't care about what celebrities talk about. I don't care about I don't care about the new. I'm not standing in line for no shoes, man. I'm not doing none of that. Like I said, I just came back from moving vending machines from my little company, Stay Stock. I'm
Okay,
not I'm
stay
not
stock. Free
yeah, it's
promo.
my vending machine company, Stay Stock. So if anybody needs some vending machines, yeah.
I'm
Um,
weak.
but yeah, so like I was doing that all day. You know what I mean? Now, don't get me wrong. I play video games like the rest of them. All I have my vices like everybody else. But
Mhm,
when I leave the house, usually, and
mhm,
even the last time I left for a social function, I went to, and my sister can tell you better, the Forums 25. Like it was basically like a list of people who have achieved great things at a young age.
mhm,
And I went and did that. I went to go see how that was going.
mhm,
But just to wrap up what I'm saying, like I'm not. But if you want to go to the club, and you know
mhm.
what, you have a better chance asking me to go to the gym with you than like to go to the club. You have a better chance of that happening.
I'm weak. Well, you just said something, and I don't know if it's a military children thing. I want to know, did y'all grow up with TVs in y'all room? Did y'all have TVs?
DVD player.
Yeah.
Oh, you
I
had a
didn't.
TV. Yeah,
Yeah.
you did. You have TV? You had a TV in your room. You're the only one that had a TV in your room, Aisha. And the reason why I say
Well,
that is because Dana, you said a good point. Like you don't care about like what celebrities got going on. I genuinely, honestly don't either. But because I'm in this, like, what do I do? Like this, I like just do commentary. But like, I wasn't really all like into pop culture and stuff. Like, I genuinely don't care about them. But I didn't grow up really watching TV like that. Like, there's a lot of stuff that I have not watched. But my dad was like, we don't want TVs in the room. Like, I was like, my dad wanted us reading, or like we were involved in sports. Like, we were always doing things and stuff like that. And I think that it could be something or it could not be, but that's why I wanted to know if y'all grew up with TV. So I was like, is that just something like, okay, why are we watching TV? Like for me, it was like church, school, whatever. But I was like, I
mhm.
didn't grow up being in celebrity like business or watching TV about all the celebrities like pop. Like I literally like I'm one of my friends. I don't know nothing about pop culture. I could tell you nothing about half of the people. I don't even be knowing none of the people. And so I was like, is that something like was I sheltered? I was like, was I really that sheltered growing up? Or like is it just like I didn't care or whatever? So I just wanted to kind of ask that to kind of see.
I
Um
think we might have all been sheltered. I was sheltered.
uh,
And I had a TV, but it's just because I had I had a VCR or something, So it's not like I had AFN on my TV or whatever. I didn't have that. That was in the maid. That was in the living room.
mhm,
But I had I had a TV in the room, but no, I wasn't into watching all of that stuff either.
mhm. So
And
that's
as
what
far as myself, I think I'm an ambivert. So I can be extroverted when I need to be. Like I can go into function or whatever, speak to people. I have no problem doing that. But then my brother and I are almost 10 years apart. So I'm used to being an only child. So I don't have to, just like Dana said, I like hanging out with myself. You know, I don't have to talk to anybody, and I'm just fine. I can stay in a room, read my book, play whatever. That's how I was as a child. But I can also be around people when I have to be around people and be fine. Now, as far as friends, I have made new friends or new acquaintances or whatever. My core group, though, these are people that I grew up with in the military life that I've known for years. That's
Mm.
my core group of people. And I can also go anywhere. I can go to Canada and have some place to stay. I can go to, go to Germany, have some place to stay or whatever. I was driving in the car, tire blew out, and I was about maybe 25, 30 miles from someone I went to school with in
Oh,
Belgium. She was living, she lived in Tallahassee. It wasn't far from Tallahassee. I was like, tire blew out. Can I stay at the house? Yeah, come on.
I love
No
that.
problem. A friend of mine lost her father in Atlanta, flew in. She was talking about renting a car. I was like, absolutely not. I was like, I'll pick you up. Her husband didn't understand. He's like, why is she doing that? She's like, 'cause that's what we do. She's like, she's like, we're family. He's like, but you're not really family. She's like, yeah, we're family.
Hmm.
And that's
Oh,
what
you
I
might
said.
go first. I'm just playing.
We're family. We're family. So she absolutely didn't rent a car. I picked her up. I took her where she needed to go. I said, let me know when you need to leave. I got you. And
Mm-hmm.
that's just how it is. I can move or go to any place, several places, not any place, but several places. And there's somebody I know there from my military brat life. And
Oh,
I
I
have
love
somewhere to stay, somebody to hang out with, whatever.
that.
So
Yeah, that's so sweet. Not Lex wake me up getting the TV kicked out because we was watching Magic Bedtime Girl, shaking my
that's
head.
funny.
Yes. Anybody else got it? Want to share about their friendship, Anastasia?
I would say I'm an introvert. I
Okay.
can adjust, of course, with being in the military or being a military brat. You have to, whatever room you're in,
Mm-hmm.
perform. So I can perform for you.
Right.
I can be whatever you need me to be, whenever you need me to be it. But far as friendships and stuff, I'm very similar to my brother. I don't need them. Not saying I don't want them, but I can for sure entertain myself. I can enjoy being with myself. I can enjoy, doing things alone as well. But having friends is great. But I'm also, I guess, because of the military, it's where it's like, I don't have to talk to you every day, man. We don't have to do the little back and forth banter on a day to day basis. We check in with each other. I'm cool with that. We in town, we hang out. That's amazing. But literally the same thing every day. I'm bored.
Lord, tough cow. Kind of stressed over here, baby.
I'm bored. I need my friendships to be productive as well.
Okay.
Just like my brother, we, always out learning new things, always working on entrepreneurship, always working on making money. So I think it's the military, the productivity. So if I don't see the productivity in this relationship, what are we doing?
See, but that's what I'm like. Is that a negative? Not that, but like, do we always have to be productive? Because of your upbringing, you're thinking like always have to do something else. Like, do you think that's a negative though? Because it's like just have. Oh, you don't think it's? Well, I mean, I guess you don't think it's a negative, but like, is that negative? Because like, do we always have to do something productive? Like, can we just have fun and like relax and chill? But y'all be like, I ain't making no money. So
After we get finished
I
being
think
productive.
the military made us old too early. Um, I say that because it's like, dog, I'm 30. I just turned 30 years old last March, and I'm over here enjoying farmers markets more than people's company. Like I'm over here planning retirements and like looking at vending machine business. Shout out to Dana and the gang and them. So it's like I would say like that's not like a bad thing. I would say like seeing that constant success story of someone in the military that has a top security clearance that can go anywhere they please and leave the military with a good pension, get a job and be set up for success, and then set their kids up for that success. I feel like that's something that's always been taught and handed down from me whenever I was traveling. Of like, okay, here's how you do it. It's not always the best system. This is how we escaped our system of being home, where we only had like one main factory job or something else. I mean, so I would say during that, like, it's not like really a negative thing. Like, you're still living. I mean, because if you're overseas, you're still, you can drive 3 hours in any direction and be in a whole nother country. My mom used to drive
Yep.
to Czech Republic to get her chandeliers on weekends just because.
Yep.
So
Porcelain.
I think I think a lot of times it's just like figuring out how do you want your future to look like. Like you can still enjoy it, but it's also like eventually you're gonna have to come to that conversation with yourself and realize how do you want your retirement to look like.
yeah.
I think a lot of times, especially right now with me being a government employee,
Okay.
I'm
Period.
sitting, I'm
Right.
sitting in here with 401k conversations and Roth IRA conversations. I'm the youngest person in the room, and I'm basically being told by like speakers like you don't have to be here yet. And I'm like, no, I'm trying to maximize this thing now because I'm not trying to be like half these other people in here that are going to retire from government and then come back to government like 6 months after they retire.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do I set myself up and my family up for that, like, that extra knowledge or that extra business? So,
I think the leadership skill is really great. And I've been like the youngest in the room, like in the entrepreneurship room. I was like, well, I'm too young. They're like, well, no, you're not too young because I really was the youngest one. And so, like, I'm not too young. And I definitely understand knowledge and I definitely understand. I'm not saying that's a negative, be productive. That's not what I was saying. But I was saying, like, we can have knowledge and we can learn, but be in the system of like always working or something like that. And it's like, okay, like, well, does that mean that we can't relax or we can't have fun or we're so busy of like, okay, trying to be successful, trying to do this, like we kind of forget of like, let's just like live and have fun or something like that. That's what I was asking. I wasn't saying that's a negative to be productive.
I get it.
I think it's a balance.
Yes, it's a balance.
Yeah, I mean, you have to balance it out. But even to your point earlier about, traveling back home to family, I would say just for me personally, traveling back home to family and seeing that you guys, not in a negative way, but you haven't moved, you haven't done a lot of things that I've been blessed to be able to do. So it's like I see what comfortable sitting in comfort looks like. And I feel like I have when I'm older to sit in that if that's something I choose to do. So it's like right now, how can I maximize the time that I have in my youth to be able to go after the things that I want? Because also I'm sitting here with family hearing about all these dreams and aspirations you guys had and you haven't done nothing. So do I want to follow that path or do I want to try something else?
That's true.
So with those relationships, with friendships, it's like I want to be around like-minded people. Let's go ahead, achieve these goals, go after what we want, and we can, sit back, kick it, have a good time as well with that balance. But I don't want it to be, imbalances of we just hanging out, smoking, drinking, chilling, putting my feet up, talking about everybody when we could be out here, making money, traveling, right?
Yes, I definitely understand it. I definitely still feel like it is hard to do like-minded, to be around like-minded individuals. And I can understand to your point. It's like if I go back to like no shade, no tea, but like Radcliffe or something like that. So sorry. But like when my parents had their party, they're like, oh, Alicia, they're like, what you doing? What you doing? Like, where you at? Because I'm like known for like posting and traveling and stuff like that. But I was like, I'm actually taking a break. But they're like, oh, okay. They were like, I'll be looking at you. I'll be seeing where you're going. I'll be seeing this. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's crazy to me that like people. It's kind of weird. People are like living through what I'm sharing, versus like, because it's like maybe they can achieve it, maybe they can do it themselves, but they're over here like, where's she going? Where's she about to travel? Because like, okay, I know I'm about to show them that, but it's like, well, you could travel too, or you could do it too as well, but like kind of like, but you're not doing it kind of like that. So it's like when you go back there, you just see people doing the same jobs. Are not that many jobs, and so I can kind of see what you're saying about that too. But I feel like I was a dream chaser. So I'm like, okay, now it's getting a lot. It's getting a little overwhelming. But so I understand what you're saying though. So I think it's important to kind of have that balance. I do know it's getting late, so I am going to wrap it up just because of time. So I just want to make sure to see like if anybody feels like they had something to say that they didn't have to say about it. But all in all, just kind of want to like get to a close and saying, do you feel like being a military brat, do you feel like it gave you an advantage in life? Do you feel like I would say it's helped you be like more independent, or do you feel like it was kind of like a advantage or disadvantage? Like just kind of wrapping it up.
I'd say for me, not to sit on the fence with it, but it came with its, potions and poisons. I think whenever I needed to go achieve something, I had no problem moving, even and not even just talking about like statewide, just like moving mindset. Because sometimes you got to change your environment. That doesn't mean, or kind of like y'all were talking, the people around you. If it comes down to that motivation piece, you got to change the folks around you. So I'd say, on a good side, definitely it helped me there because it never stopped me from wanting to achieve things if they were like beyond my zip code. So that helped. But I would definitely say relationship wise, and I do have long distance friendships and things like that. But I'd say for the most part, it is pretty out of sight, out of mind. And, we check in you know, that definitely helps. Social media has definitely helped. But I'd say for the most part, if it's no beef, there's no tension, nothing like that. It's just object permanence of it all. If I just don't see you a lot, or if we don't engage a lot, when I do see you, great, happy to see you. You know, we can chop it up. If things are the same, if the energy's the same, great, cool. But if not, then that's just what God determined for our journey. So, but I do think a lot of that does play into, because I do have friends that aren't military brats, and it just means so much in like a visceral sense for them to be able to connect with their friends from like all portions of their life, from when they were like super young all the way into their adulthood. And I just don't have that, and I think that really did come from my history as a military brat.
Yeah, I learned that in college too, and like that's what I was saying. And now that we're older, when everybody's moving, they're like, "Oh, I went to school with this." Like, I have a best friend from kindergarten. Them small town people. I'm like, I don't even know where I went to kindergarten. I don't even remember kindergarten. Quite honest with you, like, I don't even remember anything about kindergarten. And then it's like, oh, I have like first grade, and like, so you see this, and it's like, I feel like those conversations are whatever in college. Like, oh yes, my best friend from fifth grade. I'd be like, girl, I don't even remember who was in my fifth grade class. So, that's why I was kind of like asking that question. It's kind of sad. It's like kind of like a disadvantage because it's kind of sad. But then, I mean, the advantage is like you've seen 5 or 6 different faces. I don't know. So, yes. Anybody else? We could just answer. Whoever wants to go next.
I think being, for me, and I can only speak for me, being a military brat is my superpower. I can pivot easily, and I think I said this earlier. I can pivot and adapt easily without even thinking about it. It's just a core, it's a part of the core of who I am. So I can do it easily. I can move in and out of different rooms easily. I don't get into a room where like I can be in a room full of Japanese people and be comfortable.
You gonna say konnichiwa?
And that's how I am. I don't care if I know one word, 2 words. I'm gonna say that word. And a lot of times I find myself making them comfortable. Like I can be on a cruise and look at somebody's name tag and they say they're from Poland. If I know one word in Polish, I'm gonna say that word, and it sparks a conversation. They're like, how do you know this? And they might try to have a whole conversation. And I'm like, well, I can't do that. But, I can say those 2 words that I just told you. Good morning, good night, thank you, you're welcome, whatever.
That's so funny.
But it's easy. I've never been in a place, no room, and felt uncomfortable. Because I'm going to find something, being a military brat has broadened my palate. There are things, many different things, types of foods that I've eaten. And I can sit there and talk to somebody from India like, oh, I love this type, talk about certain foods that I like and not just generic stuff. I can talk about certain places that I've visited in their country, things like that. And that's a superpower that many people do not have. As military brats, we don't get, we're not easily frazzled because it's like we're used to change. So it's like, oh, whatever, it's just another change. How are we going to navigate this? That's my mentality. We navigate it and keep it moving. That's what it is.
Superpower, I'm gonna say military brat. I love that. That is so.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it is. I literally just had an interview, and I can't say where because G14 classified. But they asked me, they asked me these type of things. Well, how do you handle conflict and how do? Please, I'm a military brat. Like I've been, and the funny thing is, they end up asking me, do I have PTSD? And I said, I wasn't in the military. So, I was a child. And I thought that was the funniest thing ever. But, it's just what it is, what it is. And that's one of the things that we're able to do. We're able to meet new people, keep it moving. Like you said, if it becomes a friendship, it becomes a friendship. If it's just an acquaintance, okay, it is what it is. But I think that's our superpower, honestly. We can move and navigate in different rooms, different places, cities, doesn't matter what it is. When it comes to foods, like all these type of things, we have that skill set. And a lot of people cannot say that. Like I had a passport since I was a baby. Some people still don't have a passport, I have had that since I was a baby. So I'm used to traveling to different countries. So I can't, there's not too many countries that I will go to where I'm not comfortable or find something to eat or something that is beautiful about it. Like it really is our superpower. So that's,
I love that. So it's an advantage for you. Yes,
it is an advantage.
I love meeting people. I be like, where you from? I'll be over here trying to say the greetings. So that's fun.
Yeah.
Who wants to go next?
I would definitely have to agree with Aisha because crazy thing is, I actually had an interview like a couple weeks ago too.
Hey, y'all getting interviews, period.
Another classified job as well. And like, first question was, tell me something that we don't see on your resume.
Oh.
And I mentioned, like how being a military brat, was my superpower. Like how I'm able to just talk to anybody, how I feel comfortable just being able to speak to really to anybody. I mean, I kind of believe in the whole quote by Nelson Mandela when he said, if you speak to a person in a language they understand, then that goes to their head. But if you talk to them in a language, in their own language, that goes to their heart. So I didn't realize that the person that was interviewing me, like one of the people that was on the panel that was actually a supervisor, he actually asked me what was my name in German. And I
Oh.
also said good morning. I didn't realize this man was actually from Germany. So we started like talking in German, and like the whole time, like people in the interview room just like looked, and I'm like, yeah, like
Good
kind of
dog.
like that proving you wrong kind of thing. Because one thing
Yeah.
about kind of being that that military brat that's also African American is you're beating so many stereotypes. Like
Yep.
you're not that black and suburbia kind of person, but you're also not that ghetto person that they're expecting you to be.
Yep.
So oftentimes it's like you're kind of like standing out to different
Mhm.
people on all different platforms because a lot of times people don't really understand how many options that they really do have.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And when you tell someone this is what I have been through, this is where I have gone through in life, things I've seen, places I've eaten at, I mean,
Mhm.
you just sit there and talk to people for a while, and it's like, wow, you had pasta in Italy, you had gelato, you had real gelato, like you had, Jaeger Schnitzel for real, for real. Like it wasn't that
Yeah.
powder stuff you can get at, Publix. Like, it's a whole lot different when people actually realize that
Right.
you didn't like that you can flex, but you don't really have to flex. Like your biggest flex is your character and how people can,
Mhm.
kind of be drawn and attracted to like just you as a person.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would say the stability part, not having the friends grow up, since kindergarten. That used to bother me like when I was younger,
Yeah.
but now it's like, it has made me, adapt to so much to where you have to be able to pivot. You have to be able to just know, okay, you know
Mhm.
what? I got to keep going. And of
Mhm.
course, I mean, I ain't gonna sit here and lie. I mean, USAA is pretty good car insurance. I mean,
Right.
I ain't even gonna
Right.
hold you, man. I mean, with the
That
two
part.
wrecks that I had, that wasn't even my fault. I mean, they took good care of me,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, it was like
Right there.
the times that I had to like take off of work, and that was like, okay, how much do you make? And I told them how much I made. Pay me for taking off work. So I'm just
Mhm.
like, okay, like this definitely comes with its own perks, but
Yep.
The
you know,
benefit.
with the with
Mm-hmm.
the with the
Yep.
mental flexibility and the spiritual flexibility that it comes with, I think that's what
Mhm.
makes it all worth it in the end of being that military brat.
Mm-hmm.
Is
Yep.
not allowing every circumstance to like, change you for the negative. See it as
Mm-hmm.
a strength.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love that you said that because I think a lot of times that, well, I don't, about like, well, black people in general, like they see that we don't really travel, or the misconception is that black people don't really travel.
Travel.
Or we go to Miami or Atlanta.
Well, not even that, even like growing up, like it's like the misconception of that. So even being able to like break that barrier. But I love how you said like something that they can't tell is like you being a military brat. I would have never thought. I actually really, it's funny because like I shy away from that stuff because I feel like if I tell them I travel too much, they probably won't try to hire me. But I think that's cool that you say that about the military brat thing because it's like you can't see it on there. But even like starting my whole platform, like when I started my bloggers was because I was like, I don't see a lot of black, well, it was like black women traveling. Like, I don't see a lot of black people traveling. We're traveling way more, but this was like when I studied abroad, like I didn't see a lot of people studying abroad because I would see people and I'd be like, have you been abroad? Like, have you been out your state? And I would not see that. So I love to see now that people are like, oh, they are seeing like black people travel. Like they know that we are in different countries and different places because there's this misconception that like we're not out seeing the world and stuff like that. So I love that
Absolutely.
you're able to like break that stereotype kind of. Anastasia Dana.
I think Anastasia should go.
Oh, okay.
Okay, sibling. I would say It's an advantage, and I will agree with everybody. It is a hidden superpower because I definitely pull it out when I need to, because you can finesse it how you need it to go. So even how both of you guys said about employment, I mean, the thing that sticks with most people during interviews is, "Oh, I'm a military brat." They immediately have these thoughts of, "Oh, they're probably very disciplined. They're very this. They're very that." And then especially if you're pursuing something along the lines of dealing with a lot of people, it's a great selling point because it means that I've, have experience with diverse cultures. I can get along with any and everybody. So those are great selling points. So for me, far as career wise and things like that, for sure. And then I love that the experience was being able to travel and being able to be flexible and being able to adapt. It opens the world up so much more. And being raised with other military brats and being disciplined, but also being humble, but then also going back home a little bit and seeing, different perspectives of the world, it also opens that up for me as well. So for me, it helped me step into leadership more. And that's where a lot of that productivity, that drive, ambition comes from, because you got parents that are like, "Oh, I'm about to get promoted, E5, E6, and they're always doing something." So being able to watch that, it's like, "Oh, I want to continue to do something. So I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be a business owner. I want to, always be going for something." So for me, it's been a great advantage and superpower.
I love that. That's great. I'm like, baby, I'm about to start saying this in my interview shot. I'm a military brat.
Uh-huh.
I'm about to start using that because I love that. I love the leadership. I love the diverse cultures and stuff like that. That is so cool that like you all use that in your interviews. Okay.
Yeah. Do that. Use that.
Yeah, I am about to. Then the
I'm
last
telling you, it will set you apart. And then also being
will.
on the side of being an interviewee as well. It's like, if I hear somebody else says that, I'm automatically like, "Oh, okay." Like, you know how to do what you need to do. You know how to follow policies, procedures. It's a great selling point.
Right.
Yeah, I have to think about that. I've actually had a couple of military bosses, and I'll talk offline about that. But so yeah, but that's cool. I might have to use that next time or say something like that. I love that. Then last but not least, what do you think?
Well, I would love to be inflammatory and go against everyone, but I do agree. I think one thing that being military brat did for me was, besides broadening my horizons, it kind of forced you to try stuff, because now you're in a new country. They just let's just use food. They don't put this assortment of schnitzel and sauerkraut and all this on your tray. Well, go ahead, get some meat. You know, like, so it definitely, it in another country, it exposes you so much to different cultures, like kind of to like for instance, if in Germany or most countries, if you can see over the counter, you can get a drink. So then you get other experiences, hopefully positive, other experiences that children your age may not have had, may not have seen. So I know for sure it definitely broadened my horizons about like everything. So like even into my adult years, like I try most stuff. Like, it could be some craziness. I'll be like, I'll see, you know what I mean? Like I'll see what this is talking about. So it into the interview questions too, like just to talk on that y'all touched on. I've also been on both sides of that. I was military brat and then I was in the military. So for me, it definitely helped because I got it from both ends. I can say, "Oh, when I was a kid, I went over here," and then I can say, "When I was in, I did this." Because y'all brought it up. I had my little security clearance too. I had my little top job too. TSS. So I had my little stuff too now. So, but that did help me though, like because then.
Oh, something happened. Oh, did we lose
Froze?
And the military brat, it helped with my discipline. Dang, I guess that's my time, huh? It's telling me to get off here.
No, yeah, it was like it froze. Okay.
Well, I'll wrap up because clearly I'm going overboard, so I'll wrap up. But yeah, I agree with everybody saying. I definitely think because it forces you to try new things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to kind of, then it helps you kind of blend in and be observant, because you're a new kid on the block, you're a new person in the country. You know, even something as simple as the police sirens are different. Even something that simple like, you know, the emergency people signs are different. You know, crossing the crosswalk, that looks different now. So even some of the bus routes, the train routes, that one, it looks different. It's a whole nother language. So, you know, you really have to adapt in these moments, or it's gonna take you 3 hours to get home. So,
Right.
so you know, it definitely taught me how to adapt, try new things, and really also be optimistic, because you know, either this gonna taste good or it's gonna be nasty. Either, you know, I'm gonna have a good time over here or it's gonna be awful. So that's pretty much my little spiel on that.
I love it. That's so funny, but I feel like I'm the opposite, because my dad's always like, "Well, you're not hungry enough if you don't try it." I'm like, I guess I'm not hungry enough, because I am not trying that. I was in Korea. He's trying to get me to eat snails, kimchi, but you know, I was like, "Oh no, baby, So I don't none of that stuff." But now I feel like I try a little bit more things. My dad, because he always makes fun of me, but he does. He tries everything. He eats everything, but it could because he had to go to those places and eat all that stuff. I don't do that, but I was like, okay, but I definitely think adaptability is the number one thing, and I do actually use that in interviews a lot. Thinking about it, I was like, I'm very adaptable. Like within life, you have to change and stuff like that. So I think adaptability is a very, very good strength that you can get from being a military kid. So I definitely can see that and how we all navigate that. And so I want to thank y'all so much for joining tonight. This is the Military Children Awareness Month. So y'all finally have a month, you know, veterans have that. So everybody knows, say April is Military Children's Awareness Month. I would love to keep doing this because I feel like our stories are important, and like how you all said, like everybody has a different story. Everybody has navigated and seen different things, but I don't really feel like there's a lot out there on that. So I definitely appreciate you all for coming and sharing your experiences tonight. And just being open and honest and navigating how you grew up military. So if y'all are watching this, make sure you like this, make sure you comment and subscribe actually, and let us know if you grew up military or not. And is there anything else? I think we hit everything as well. Anybody got y'all want to promote anything? Because Dana tried to promote something. So I was like, let me hear, baby, if anybody got something to promote, okay?
I got stuff to promote. So
because you was already trying to slide it in there. So I let me just ask
go check my brother out. Stay stocked. And then even with me, you know, I do business coaching and helping people transition from 9 to 5s.
Period.
Entrepreneurship. So legacy building.
And what was the last part you said?
Legacy building.
Legacy building. Okay, baby, the sister and brother ain't playing. They got the duels together. Okay, they said bye.
For me, please, I publish a magazine. It's called Femmes for STEM magazine. The number 4, Femmes for STEM, females for STEM short. So Femmes for STEM. It is the first and the only STEM publication to exclusively amplify the voices and achievements of Black women in science, technology, engineering, and math. So I am on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm, also personally on there as well, but yes. So I'm always looking for sponsors. I am always looking for people to advertise. And I'm so proud to be the first and only, and we are international. So I've had I've been so blessed to have some amazing people in the magazine, and
Look at the military children, period. Somebody needs to sponsor all of us, okay? Talking about Katherine Johnson and what's the other name? Something, the girl's the scientist. I really don't know all their names.
So all those hidden figures, yes. So I celebrate all the hidden figures. People,
yes, I love that.
People that people don't necessarily, don't necessarily get their shine. That they don't get. We are innovative as a people, period. Yes. And that's the people, those are the type of people that I shine a light on. So
yes, I love that. Okay, Darren, I already know you got something to promote, so let's come on with it.
No, I appreciate it. I'm up in Portland right now, but moving in between here in Nashville, working on music. So I'm gearing up for new projects to release. But you can always stream my stuff, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Instagram under 94 Dro. It's literally the number 94 DROW. You can always check out everything I got up already. Please get them streams in because they pay like a half a penny per stream. So run it up. But yeah, be on the lookout for some very interesting projects coming in the future though.
Oh my gosh, I just got another idea. I'm not an well, I'm low key entrepreneur, but I just got a good idea. This is really a cool idea. Just hearing all y'all talk about different things, like a platform for military children to promote their stuff would be really,
Let's
really
do
cool.
that.
Actually, really cool. Let me think about it. Let me sit on it. Let me think because you guys we could be like dominate the world. People know everybody in different countries come this. Let me quit talking too much online.
Yeah. Somebody gonna run off with your idea.
Right. Right.
I know if it's online, but they have to know. But yeah, no, I think it's really cool, and it shows a testament to what I was saying. Like we all navigate stuff. We all have that business. Like we all have that like business entrepreneurship mindset. We all have that discipline. So that I was saying that I think is very important, and it's cool to see everybody doing their own thing and navigating it, even with the challenges that we have. Or even advantages that we have. So I think that's really, really cool. So yeah, make sure y'all go subscribe and support all their things. And have a great rest of your night, morning, whenever you're listening to this. Have a great night. I'm in the street. All right. Bye.
Nice meeting y'all.
Goodbye.